Hello, everyone. Good evening. Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing today, tonight? I hope you're all doing well. Welcome. Hello. How are you doing? Okay. Just setting up here. Hi. Same. How are you? Okay. Let's close this. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Hi, Funke. Welcome. How are you doing? Welcome tonight. Hello. Okay. And just setting up on my end, but I hope you're doing well. Okay, perfect. I think things are looking good. See. So I want to be able to see my slide and also see you guys, and that's why I'm making this adjustment. See, at least see your comments. How are you? Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Hi, Meg. Good evening. How are you? I hope you're doing well. Okay. I think things are better on my end. So good evening, everyone. We're just going to get started right away. How are you doing? If this is your first time here, I'm going to introduce myself. Yeah, nice to see you, Meg. My name is Yinka Lumorin. I'm a coach on this platform, Acquire Real Estate. Done a couple of deals ranging over 50 deals, ranging from wholesaling to lease options to fix and flips, rentals, both long-term rentals and short-term rentals, multifamily, and new constructions. And I always mention that within 36 months of starting investing in real estate, we were able to move our business alongside my husband, of course, from 6 figures to 7 figures. And because we were able to get it right in the beginning, we currently laser focus on newbies to help them be ready for their first deal within the first 6 weeks. Okay. And as you know, hopefully I invested in my husband, Dare, who's a licensed builder, and he helps our students with, their scope of work and all things construction or contractor related. Okay. And I'm happy to be here. So yeah, and I want to hear from you as well. I want to hear about you. Please introduce yourself in the comments and where you're from. Hi, Ruth. Okay, introduce yourselves. Let me know where you're tuning in from tonight. I'm always happy to meet you guys. So go ahead and tell us what's going on, what's your name, where you're from, what state. Very good networking avenue. And welcome tonight. So tonight, we will be talking about why you should buy an investment property before buying a personal home. And the reason for this is because it's a question on a lot of people's minds. You may not know this, but a lot of people ask me, should I just wait to buy my personal home first before doing real estate investing? Are they related? Am I gonna miss out on something if I do that, if I go that route? Especially if you haven't bought a personal home already, you're probably thinking whether to do that first before buying investment properties. So please type yes in the comments if you're wondering about this. Also, remember to introduce yourself in the comments if you're just joining us, and I welcome you again. So let's talk about why you should consider starting your real estate journey before buying your personal home. And for me, I actually owned a couple of rental properties before owning a personal property. And I'm going to spill the beans here. Anyone ready? Type ready in the comments and let's go. Cool. Cool, Ruth. I see you. Layemi, cool. Yeah, welcome. Welcome, guys. All right, so let's move on and let's talk about the difference. What's the difference between buying a personal home and buying an investment property? That should have said an investment property, by the way. So that was a typo. What is the difference between buying a personal home and buying an investment property? Okay, so let's talk about the difference here. Personal home. One thing you guys need to know about personal home, or you already know, is the need for a W-2 income, right? So on this side of the deal, you need a W-2 income. You need your tax returns, you need your tax documents. They also check your DTI, which is your debt to income ratio, right? So if you are high on debt, it's not gonna work, right? If you don't have enough income, you cannot buy a personal home because they're looking at you. It's personal. It's about you. It's about what you have. On the other side of the deal, it's asset-based lending. So they're looking at the numbers. They're looking at the property itself, the assets. Does the asset make sense? Will the numbers on the assets make sense? For an investor, trust me, these guys, these lenders already know what assets make sense and what assets don't. So they have a lending criteria as to what asset they will lend on based on the numbers. How much are you buying the property for? What are you doing with the property? What's your exit strategy? And if you're not knowing your numbers, which is number one, you got to know your numbers. You got to know how to analyze the deal. If you don't know your numbers, then you can't do asset-based lending. But it only depends on you knowing your numbers, right? So if you had to choose between knowing your numbers and coming up with W-2, with tax returns, with huge paperwork, with the need for income and even risk not qualifying, what will you choose? Would you choose asset-based lending or would you choose the W-2 income route? Would you choose a quicker route, easier routes, or would you choose the more complicated, questionable routes? Because you don't know if you're going to qualify anyways. Sometimes they tell you to wait a year. Sometimes you have to wait longer. Sometimes they need something more, right? So tell me, what would you guys choose? The easier routes, right? So if you would choose the easier route, definitely type that in the comments, easier, because we want to emphasize, okay? Want to emphasize what you need because you only need to know. Knowing takes just a little bit. But if you had to come up with income, if you had to come up with better tax returns, you have to wait a longer time, okay? So it's very different qualification process. The other thing you also see with personal home is the credits. Okay, so both of them need credits. Like for investment properties, you're talking about a 620 credits and up, right? They don't need the details. But on the personal home side of things, they need the details. And here's what I mean by that. If you are at a 700 plus credit score, that's a great score, right? It is an absolutely amazing score if you're at a 620 or 700 credit score and up. But that does not necessarily mean that you're going to qualify for a home. Not just because of your income, but also your income might be right and okay. Your credit score might be good, but what is happening within that credit score is more important to them. How many debts do you have? Are you swamped with a lot of loans to pay off? Maybe you've missed some payments, right? Maybe a lot of things have gone wrong. On the investment property side of things, they don't care what is going on within your credit score. Because trust me, you can be behind and still have a 700 plus credit. Okay, so it's very different. You can't say because I have a good enough credit score, I can qualify for a personal home. It's deeper than that. They need to see exactly what's going on. And if you're owing over a huge percentage of your lines, your credit lines, or your credit capacity, then there's a low likelihood of you being qualified or accepted for a personal home. Okay, so very different. The other thing to keep in mind is the need for savings or assets. If you want to buy a personal home, you need to have a solid, rock solid savings account. You need to have some money saved up. That's just the truth. You can't just show up with your credits and say, I'm ready to buy a home. That's not going to work. So you need to have savings. You need to have assets. You need to have money. You need to have liquid money. You need to have saved up something. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't have the savings to even do that. So why would you wait, right? So you're not qualifying for a personal home. On the other side of things, for investment properties, you don't need savings. There are ways to go about this. You don't need to have savings. You can go the 100% financing route, combining two different lenders, and we go in depth into that in coaching, right? You don't need to have money in your accounts. As unbelievable as that sounds, that's the truth. That's what I do, right? Because it's a higher ROI if I don't have to cough up money to invest in a property. It's a better return on investment for me and for you if that's the route you're going. Okay. But on the side of things, personal home side of things, yes, you need to have savings, you need to have some assets. Okay. And then they might even ask you for proof of rental history just to make sure that on the real estate side of things or housing side of things, you have been a good person. You've been paying your landlord. On the other side of things, or investment properties, we don't even know what that is. What is that? What is proof of rental history? So we have no clue what proof of rental history is on the investment side of things. So tell me, guys, if you had to choose, let's say it's your first property, okay, what route would you go through? Let me know. I'm not against buying a personal home, and we're still going to go into a little bit more detail. I love it, but you just got to be prepared, right? And you got to make the best decision, understand why you're buying a personal home, and if that's really what you're looking to do. So what would you guys choose? Personal home, investment property side of things? They're all good, but if you had to make a pick, right, at this time, what would you choose? Yes, Ruth says investment property, pretty good. Yeah, investment, pretty good, Deron. Yeah. Hi, Deron from Texas. Welcome. Yeah. So I see you guys saying easier route. Funke says easier route makes it easier route. And Deron says she's ready. Yeah, good. We're on it, in it, and going through it right now. So investment property side of things looks better. Okay. But what's your goal? Number one, if you're looking to build cash reserves, definitely the personal property side of things is not what you're looking for. Maybe you're broke right now and you know that your deepest need is not a new home. You need to build a cash base. You need money. A personal home will not be making you the income you're looking for. Okay. An investment property is what you need. A house is an investment, quite all right, but not the one that starts to make you money, right? If anything, actually, it actually starts to cost you more than when you were renting. It costs you more. Now you're talking taxes, you're talking insurance, maintenance, repairs, landscaping, utility bills, you're talking of more things, many more things, right? So if this looks like an issue right now, then what you need to start with is an investment property to give you that immediate cash flow you're looking for. Okay. So if you're looking to build cash base, you need an investment property. Okay. So knowing you don't need a lot of things on the investment side of things means you can leverage big time on available opportunities in the market. Imagine that you don't need to have the best credit score, or you don't need your income, your tax returns, you don't need to consider your debt to income ratio, you don't need to have money in savings or anything crazy where you feel limited, right? So what does that mean for you? It means it doesn't depend on you or what you have or your personal capacity. How awesome is that? So how many deals can you do if it doesn't depend on what you have? If it doesn't depend on your capacity right now, how many deals can you do? If it completely doesn't depend on whether you have a good job or not, whether you have cash in your bank account or not, how many properties can you buy on the investment side of things? The other thing here is starting to buy investment properties right away means that when the time is right, you can make a better home buying decision. How? How so? It means you know what to and what not to buy for a personal home with your investor experience. You know, some people make big mistakes when it comes to that. Then they come to coaching, start the program, wishing that they did something different. They had not, wishing they didn't buy their home in the way that they did. It becomes too late. So some people have to relocate. And that's one thing, because when you're a real estate investor, you're going to see a lot of things that give you the experience you need about properties, about homes, about numbers, about what to watch out for. So you're definitely going to get a better deal. That's number one. You're definitely going to know what to look out for in inspections, right? You're definitely going to know what deal breakers are in a home, especially the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So you're not just looking at numbers on investment properties, but you're also looking at numbers on your own personal home, because you don't want to make a bad investment decision on your own personal home as well. Okay. And also consider this. Some people actually have to relocate just a little bit after buying their home. And then they have no clue what to do with it. They're confused. I've seen that a lot. Like you buy a house, now you have to move maybe a year or two later, or even 3 years after. Unfortunately, you're going to lose money if you try to sell that property. If you bought it at market value, you're going to lose money. Why is that? I actually want to see that in the comments. Let's see who's thinking like me. Why would you lose money on a property you just bought if you wanted to resell it? Why would you lose money? Why would you lose money on a property you bought maybe a year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, sometimes even 5 years ago? You 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 want to sell, but it looks like you might be losing money. Okay, someone says then study the market. Okay. Yeah, that's right, Mary. Hi, Mary. So Mary says because you don't have much equity. Perhaps, yeah. You don't have much equity. You might think you have maybe 50,000, but at the end of the day, when you calculate all your costs, it's really not 50,000. First of all, you have seller concession. It goes on the markets and people are saying, well, I can't pay that much. I'm going to give you 20,000 less of an offer or 10,000 less of an offer if you're overestimating, right? Okay, that's one part of it. The other part of it is, well, seller concessions is one thing I said, right? So remember, seller concessions is when a buyer tries to get a better deal, especially if it's priced a little high, right? And you don't have a choice. If all buyers want a deal, it means your price is so high, you got to reduce it. The market dictates your sale price. You don't dictate your sale price. If you put any price out there, it's just not going to sell because there's no demand for that. They are seeing other properties in the area and they're not going for that high. So you're going to eventually have to drop your price. The other thing you got to consider is realtor commissions, right? How much is realtor commissions? What's the percentage for realtor commissions? Type that in the comments if you know. The percentage realtor commission on homes. What are realtors charging in total commissions on properties? What are realtors charging? Sometimes I have a slower, yeah, okay. I see 3 to 5, 8%. Wow, 8% is high. 2.5. Okay, I'm thinking 2.5 on both sides, buyer and seller side. So generally, we're looking at 6%, right? I don't know. 8% is crazy, though. I haven't seen that. Okay, good. I see the comments rolling in. So 3% will mean 3% on both sides. So that's 6%. And that's the max I know of, but 8% will be interesting. So 6% is really the max. You can negotiate that to maybe down to 5%. And there'll be hardly anyone who would want to take less than that, except you're an investor and they know that you keep producing properties that they can list. But usually they wouldn't want to go less than 2.5 on each side. But at 6%, if you take 6% of, let's say your home is worth 250,000 right now, you bought it at 200. So 250, what is 6% of that already? Let's calculate, guys. Let's see who's going to be the first to type that in the comments. I know the comments coming slower, so I might be the first. Let's see, so 250,000 times 6%, that's 15,000, right? So minus 50,000 in equity, that's 35,000 already, right? And we haven't even talked about closing costs. We haven't talked about settling any taxes. We haven't talked about anything. And here you are thinking that you have a lot of equity on the property at 50,000. And worst case scenario, some people are even like worse, like their houses only gained 15,000 more in equity, as the market said, if they got 15,000 more. Of course, you got to come up with money at closing. So you're going to lose because there are closing costs, okay? There are other costs. There are holding costs. If you have to move to another market and have to put this property on the market, you're already paying 2 mortgages. So you have to subtract that from what's left, subtract realtor commission, subtract your closing costs. If you have prepayment penalties, for instance, let's say you're moving too fast, let's say you did a kind of mortgage that's 5/1 or 3/1 or 5-arm or 3-arm, where in the first year you pay 5%. That's crazy, right? If you have prepayment penalty on your mortgage because you're paying it off too early, that's another big cost you have to think of. So it can range between 1% and 5%, generally speaking. Yeah, I see that 15,000 in the comments. Thank you. I knew I was gonna be first though, because the relay timeline kind of messed you guys up on that one. So yes, as an investor, you make better home buying decisions. You know these costs. As an investor, you know your home buying costs. You know exactly where your numbers are at. You're not going to get to a closing table and say, oh, I didn't know that I wasn't going to make money after closing on this property. So that's one reason why you should actually start to buy investment properties right away rather than waiting to buy your personal home, because you already know from this third slide already. Okay, and then we have another reason here, tax benefits. So we're talking about deductions, right? So why would you wait to start to deduct expenses from an investment property? You can deduct more expenses from an investment property than a personal home, definitely. So you get better tax benefits from investment properties than a personal home. So what is the point of waiting? Exactly, right? So aside your deductions, you also have your depreciation, right? You can start to depreciate that on your taxes right away. Okay. And another obvious reason right here is appreciation. So all those times you were waiting to be able to qualify to buy your own personal property, an investment property would have appreciated. Because I tell you, it's not easy for people to build their savings. It takes forever, depending on the kind of job you do. Building your savings is not easy. And some people don't even get there, eventually. Maybe they have to now use that savings to do something different, or a family emergency. Or maybe they figured, you know what, it's just one life. Let's go on a vacation with the family. And I tell you, it's a good decision. I mean, you gotta still have some kind of quality of life, right? You have a lot of pressure sometimes. You have family who need money or who are going through difficult times, and you have to step in. So if you're waiting, you're not only not being able to get to your goal quickly or ever, you're also losing out on appreciation every year. Some places are as high as 10% appreciation. So if a property value is 250,000, like we were saying, if it's 10% yearly, that means every single year you've owned that property, you're making $25,000 in equity, you know? So why would you delay that process? Right? So it's like you're doing your full-time job and your properties are also doing the work for you over time. So rather than picking up a third job, a fourth job, you have a property that's appreciating by the same amount, because some people actually, like, the marketing jobs can be really, really low in income. And that's why you still see people making 25,000 a year or 50,000 a year. So if you have a 500K property in a 10% appreciation area, that property is making 50,000 a year by just existing, right? Okay, so that is definitely another thing to consider. Then the other thing here is, and I see people talk about this a lot, about qualifying for a first-time home buyer loan. Okay, and maybe you need to speak with a mortgage broker. But this is the thing, because you're saying, if I buy an investment property right now, would I be able to qualify for an FHA loan? Would I be able to qualify for a first-time home buyer program? You need to understand that when you're buying investment properties, you're not buying them in or under your personal name. You're buying them under your business. You're buying them under your LLC. The LLC is a business, not a person. You're a manager in that business. Because the LLC is buying a property doesn't mean you are personally buying a property. Okay, so it's different. The LLC is an entity. You are a separate entity. Okay, so that should have nothing to do with you qualifying for a first-time home buyer loan, if that's what you want eventually. But also keep in mind the PMIs, the mortgage insurance that you have to pay, right? Does it make sense that you put down less money and pay more money monthly? Because they put that mortgage insurance on there and it makes the loan more expensive down the line. If you calculate how much mortgage insurance you've paid in a year, in 2 years, and so on, you see it's a lot of money, right? You put down 3.5% as down payment and then you pay mortgage insurance. So at the end of the day, it's not really, I wouldn't consider that like a sound financial decision, because you're making less money on that property, even though it's a personal property. But it is what it is. At least you got the opportunity to own a property. So not bad. But in the grand scheme of things, if you had to go for something else and you didn't qualify for a low down payment, it's not the end of the world. Actually, putting more down means that you have less loan left to pay off, and it also means you have less monthly mortgage to pay. So at the end of the day, as far as investment decision is concerned, I wouldn't consider going for an FHA loan a sound investment decision, but it's okay. Okay, it's a great opportunity for people to own properties. So you thinking or being afraid that you would not qualify should not be a reason to not start buying your own investment properties under your business, of course. Okay, so what if you already bought? So this whole thing is not for people who already bought and are wondering whether they made the right decision or not. This is for people who are like in the middle of making a decision where they're like, should I not? Because I talk to people every day. Honestly, I have to let you know, I talk to you guys every day. I talk to you guys every day and I hear what you guys are saying. You guys are always saying this stuff. So I had to bring it out here so that hopefully you guys can understand now and make your decision. Like I said in the beginning, I started to own properties before having my own personal home. And so when I had my own personal home, I actually built from scratch, right? With sound investment decision without any of my money in it. Okay, so that's the magic that happens when you know what to do as an investor and you apply to your own personal life. I was a landlord, but I was still a tenant. I had properties, but I was still a tenant and it was fine. And when I was ready, I got, but I also understand some people have like family that's increasing in size. They need a bigger space. Of course, do what works for your family. I'm not for inconveniencing myself because of investments, right? I mean, it's good to do that, but I also like a good quality of life. So if buying a home makes sense for you right now, definitely go for it. But you need to be aware that as an investor, you have a better idea of what to buy and what to avoid. So fine, if you already bought one, they are independent of each other. Move forward from there and start to make bigger investment decisions, because that's definitely an investment, okay? All right, so what questions do you guys have? Let's see if there are any questions in the comments before we go into our resource for the day. Okay, I don't have any comments, or maybe because of the delay, it might be taking a little bit. If you got value from this training, please type value in the comments. I want to know if it made sense to you guys. And maybe you'll even have people who are wondering in your circle whether they should do this or do that. Let me know if you got value. Type value in the comments or your questions. Thank you. Adesso said value. Good, 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 good. That is a question, honestly. A lot of people have that question. Value, value. Great job. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Keep typing that in the comments, and we're going to go into our resource for the day. Here we go with our resource for the night. I know a lot of you guys have this resource. You should, but I think that for newer people in the group, you might not have this resource. Okay, so here we go with our resource for the night. Okay, I see a question here. How do you strategize the exit strategy if it's an investment property? It depends. It depends on the numbers, depends on the property, depends on the location, depends on how much you're buying it for. It has to be specific. Every property would have different exit strategies. So there's no one size fits all, if it makes sense. It can be a good property for a flip. It can be a good property for rentals, short-term rentals, long-term rentals, mid-term rentals, depending on location, depending on a lot of different variables. It can be a good property for BRRRR, can be good property for seller financing, can be good for subject to, can be good for wholesaling. Depends on the property, depends on you, depending on what you're looking for. Can you be a tenant in your investment property? Good question. Can you be a tenant in your investment property? No. Okay, so those properties are non-owner occupied loans only. So when you hear DSCR loans, or lenders that deal with investors and lend under an LLC. If it's under an LLC, you're going to be piercing the corporate veil when you start to live on the property, and you don't want to do that. And that's a different story altogether. You don't want to do that. When you're signing up for those loans, they already tell you you're going to say, you're going to agree to not living on the property. So it's a non-owner occupied investment property loan. Okay. So no, you should not be a tenant. Neither should anyone affiliated with you in your family act like they are different from you. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I know people who rent to family, it's okay, but like, and that's if you can handle, there's a different story to that. But yeah, you shouldn't be living in the property or using it for family. So if you want the ebook, which is a resource for the night, and it's really an ebook of lenders who lend on investment properties. Definitely type ebook in the comments. And of course, other people, if you want to get started right away, tired of wasting time and thinking about whether to buy a personal home or not, if you need direct guidance from beginning to end, getting your investment properties, you need help with things like renovation, you want a community where you can talk to people, where you can talk to real people, where you can talk to your coaches, where your coaches are helping you with your investment property. Definitely type inner circle in the comments. We'll be happy to welcome you. Really just have a chat on the phone. You get off the phone with very, very good advice. And you can ask anyone who's spoken to us. You get very good investment advice, but also we guide you through being in the inner circle and getting started with real estate investing. So type inner circle in the chats. It was nice being here, guys. I don't know about you, but I enjoyed myself. It was nice being here, and I hope you got value. And I did see that you guys confirmed you got value on this training as well as the other ones in our vaults. Meg has been sending you guys inboxes. If you have not been checking, something is off. Please check your inbox. Make sure that you're responding to Meg. I beg you, please respond to Meg. Meg is such a nice person. Don't leave her waiting in the inbox. Okay, so respond to Meg in the inbox. And also we have a Telegram group that you can also join to get notifications directly. And we'll also send we'll also send maybe some of the resources if after we're done with trainings and things like that, so you're not missing out on things. Type Telegram in the comments, and Meg is also going to send you the link to join the Telegram, so you get all the notifications and you get all the resources. So type Telegram in the comments as well, join the group, and check your inbox. All right. It was nice being here, like I said earlier, and I see all of you guys are here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you on the next one. For now, have a great night's rest. Bye.